Hello everybody, we're sketching with Gary. This time we're going to do something in reverse. Instead of painting from a sketch, we are going to sketch using Prismacolor markers, and we'll get into these in a minute about what brand, what color, and what values I use. How do we make a value sketch from an old painting that maybe didn't work out as well as you might have liked? Now, as I travel, and this is from 1998, Ireland, going around with small pan watercolors. Did a quickie of this one, and it's kind of charming in a way. The colors don't really make any sense, but there are some interesting value contrast. And so lately I thought, let's go back and redo this so I can maybe have a better chance to paint something, maybe a larger painting, maybe a few more possibilities with simpler value contrasts. Now in this, if we squint down, unless we take a camera and put it to black and white, it's hard to see the values pop out at us. And those values would be light, well that one's easy, middle and dark. It'd be simpler if we use a couple value markers, maybe a number 6, maybe a number 2, maybe a number, this is a real dark one, so 3 values. And we also have, well, we have the value light of the paper. So let's consider that as our first, the lightest value, and that's going to be a certain percentage of the drawing, our mid values, and then finally the dark. So let's take a completely different scene from the sketchbook. We'll go through some of these and see what might be a good possibility. Something with maybe a foreground, middle ground, background, perhaps. How about something simple like maybe some of these, well, I think there's even a simpler one back here. Oh, there we go, rooftops. The rooftops of Ireland are wonderful. So I'm not quite sure what's going to go down here, but maybe as we sketch we can figure something out, or maybe we just want to vignette it a little bit and leave those rooftops. So I'll leave the drawing here, and maybe move the camera a bit down. I hope this works. Yeah, let's see here. About right there. And let me get a new sheet of paper. And the paper I use, very inexpensive, very thin typing paper or printing paper. Nobody types anymore. Printing paper. You could get a whole ream of this stuff for a couple bucks. Clip it onto a backboard. The backboard's a little messy here. Excuse that. Clip them on, put my source material here, and just draw for you. Okay, let's see if we can maybe do this in 10 minutes. You don't want to spend too much time on this. Although you can, once you start getting into the details, you could probably spend as much time on your sketch as you're painting, but that's not what the purpose of this is. I think the more we do these, the more we start automatically thinking as to large shapes, mid shapes, small shapes, light, mid, and dark. Let's begin with a light value, and I've labeled these because sometimes they start out like a very dark marker and they work their way down to a light value. So I put a 2 on that one. Let's see if there's any ink left in this guy. Oh, another thing we must think about is, do we want horizontal or vertical? So that's our number one consideration. So on this baby, we're going to go horizontal. Turn your paper. I like to have a couple sheets of paper underneath. Feels a little better. Okay, now I'm going to hold the marker like a sword fighter. Not like this, unless I really want to get into some detail. It kind of tightens you up a bit. If you hold it here, we're actually moving this marker from the shoulder. We'll have a better, I think, a more creative looking line, a little freer line. So I was going down, I'm kind of looking at the rooftops. Where is that line going? All right, I'm going to stop talking and draw a little bit here. And maybe just think out loud for us. Chimney, I do want to get the sky up there. Pretty wide chimneys on these old buildings. And the beautiful part about Ireland is these gray stones, and they're really weathered, and the rain hits it, and they be really fun to do a watercolor. Now we have some foliage over here coming in, so that'll be a nice little design element. And then we'll do some negative painting for another chimney top here, perhaps. We don't want that right underneath, so let's Let's move this over a bit there, have a diagonal going out, and then to remind myself that, let's just, okay, there's my rooftop of that building. Kind of mess that up a bit. Let's go down here. Okay. Well, while we're at it, now I'm going to just move the markers in one direction. We'll get a more consistent look over the whole painting, as you will, if you will. Okay, well, that goes there. Whoop. Windows are going that way. A little perspective conscious. And then we have another one going up there, smaller, to make it appear in the distance. We could actually overlap a whole bunch of these if we want. We'd add a few more, maybe one going that way, and this is going there, and this is, you get the idea. Okay. The main thing today is I want to show you how to use the 3 different markers with the white of the paper. Okie doke. There, rooftop, chimney, rooftop, square chimneys. Okay, that should say the rooftops of Ireland. Now, before we start filling things in, we need to decide where the light is coming from. What do we want to highlight? In the sketch, we see that it's pretty dark here, and that, I believe, could be a possibility for a focal point, but what exactly do we want to feature? Where we have to make it, we could change that completely. I can make that white and make that dark. That would be a whole nother sketch. But now let's go with what we have here. First thing, let's go with our mid value. So everything that's not light is going to be a either dark or mid value. So we're going to put those in first, being careful to go around our shapes. Some foliage trees behind that building there. Some of those green. Let's make a dark there with, and let's see here. Yeah, got to think. Can't duck the issue any longer. Where is the light coming from? Let's have it coming from this way, let's say late in the afternoon. So not really bright. You'll see that in this part here, there is no real bright. So they're all going to be kind of shaded. The sun's kind of going down. And then we will have some darks. And we're already 7 minutes into this. So I got about 3 minutes more. I don't want to make this longer than 10 minutes. And to get some variety in the shape down here, let's pull some of those mid values down a bit, down a bit. Okay. We got something going that's kind of nice. Our eye kind of goes like that. And we're just kind of playing with diagonals. Diagonals and squares and 3 values. That's the name of the game. We switch markers to a number 6. It's going to be a little bit darker. And let's punch up this guy right here. Straight line. Now here's where I hold the pen a little bit differently. If that was a color, that'd be a mess on the floor. Okay. So could we still do this? Nope. I'm going to have to do it this way. I'm going to have to hold that because now I want a little more control. Now, we talked about those rocks and those bricks, whatever they are, holding this building together. They are different colors. So with your value markers, try to suggest, some of them are darker, some of them are lighter. A couple windows, smaller as they go away, to suggest perspective. Now, that edge is to make this part of the building show up as light. We're going to paint this side dark. See how that works? Boom. We've just popped out that building there. And maybe the same thing on that side. This is called negative painting. Let's do something like that. This one, this is positive painting, where we're putting a dark down for our object, which makes the back of that pop out as white or light. Okay. We're kind of compressing our eye a bit. right, now let's put a street sign. This needs a reason to exist, this whole little sketch, right? So we're in Ireland, and they have these street signs with wonderful names of the streets that sound kind of funny. Oh, how do we want to do that? Is that going to be dark or light? Well, I don't think we have much choice. It's got to be light. I'm painting around the object, so those will stick out. And just scribble some lettering in there. We'll come back and punch those up a bit, but right now, maybe that will be the focal, a focal point. And maybe we get down to a street level here with some people. All right, so that'll be our story. These guys walking to Flannery's pub over here, which doesn't exist in my original drawing, but this has got to be about something. All right, let's get to the nitty-gritty. We've got about another minute because you're on location and the bus is coming and you got to get a sketch and get the heck out of Dodge. So let's punch this baby up right here. Whoop. First, draw around it. Try to keep your lines the same direction. It'll end up looking better. Let's get rid of that one. Now, let's distribute some of this dark in other areas. So that rooftop up there, perhaps. This is where our sketch kind of takes over a painterly look, but don't fill in everything. Leave some lights. Yeah, now it's starting to jump. Now it's starting to move a bit. Be careful. We can fall in love with the motion of this and start adding a whole lot. Now, maybe a couple going that way. I want our eye to go over here. So, and we had some foliage over here, but I don't want to have too much bushes because this is stony Ireland. You know, a lot of brick, a lot of stones. What do you think? It's coming. It's coming along. And the more time I spend, the more I refine it, trying to remember the light's coming this way. So that would be pretty dark over here. That really should have been dark. Let's do it. Let's make that really dark to really say that, man, it's light's coming that way. Let's continue that idea. And the guy's going to the pub. And maybe there's a street down there. Something over here, I'm not quite sure what. And we don't want to give it too much emphasis. Light's coming this way. Okay. Maybe a couple. I did. Oh yeah, there was another. I want that to be a house. So let's create a house by painting around the house. A hotel, whatever. A pub. Yeah. Okay. I think we're done. That's it. So we've taken a simple watercolor, converted into maybe a little more elaborate sketch. But from here, I could say, okay, you know what? Let's create some more stuff here. Let's have some people coming over here. Maybe a little car, but I think I'd rather have guys walking. Okay, so our next video, we'll talk about how to add people into our sketch. Now, I can't wait to paint this in a large format. This took us 15 minutes. And we have something that we can use. That was fun. Thank you for being here. I'm Gary, and you have been sketching with Gary today. Bye-bye now.